Hi, this is Sharman Dow of the Empower Women's Conference. I'm sitting here with my friend Victoria in downtown Bend, Oregon. We just had lunch at the Pine Tavern in Bend, and just sitting on this beautiful view. I'm going to move away for a second so you can see the river right behind us. Okay, pretty fabulous, huh? We had lunch here today. It's
pretty
wonderful.
Fabulous.
It is. Aren't we enjoying it? So I want you to meet Victoria because Victoria has a lot to say in her career. She is the spokeswoman for Sadler's Home Furnishings and has made some transitions in her career over the year. And as a result, she is made quite a career as the Sadler's Lady. 29 years doing as a spokeswoman for the Sadler's Home Furnishings. She's on television. Her background is in radio and television. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Victoria. Let us hear.
Well, I'm just kind of a country girl from Central Oregon that had some real great opportunities over the years in my career. And, I had the confidence, thanks to my parents, to take advantage of them. And I really do credit them a lot with helping me to feel like, I can go do things and make things happen. So
how fabulous for you.
I was, yes, looking back, very lucky.
And we all kind of wish we had parents that were always positive towards us. And so your parents gave you a lot of that, correct?
They did. Of course, my dad was of the generation that I guess I might today be considered a little sexist. That's how they were back then. He was born in the 20s, and so he looked at women a little differently, but for reasons unknown. And I was very fortunate. He thought that his daughter could do anything. And so I kind of went out into the world with that idea that if I was willing to work hard and put my best self out there, that I could accomplish things. So I appreciate that from him. He seemed to think I was a little better than most, evidently, but I think a lot of fathers think that about their daughters.
But you have accomplished a lot of things because you're not only the Sadler spokeswoman, but you're also a pilot, a licensed pilot.
I am, yes.
And you're also a horsewoman. You ride and show horses. So
yes.
Tell us a little bit about how you ended up becoming a pilot. That's kind of interesting.
Well, when I was a kid, my dad had a plane, and a small private plane, and I just always thought that was something that every kid's parents had. And I found out that was very unusual. So I flew with him a lot as a kid, going back and forth to college and so forth. Then as an adult, I had a couple opportunities arise that I could myself maybe get my pilot's license. So things kind of came together, and again, I think it kind of starts with confidence in yourself. I thought, well, this is something I can do. And so I went through the training and the study, and it took me about a year to get my private pilot's license. I felt like I could go a little farther, so I went ahead. Took me about another year to get my instrument rating, which is really important.
Absolutely. Instrument rating is very hard to get for a lot of people who are testing the waters and flying. I know that because my father was a test pilot, so I understand that.
Yeah. And so then it took me about another year to get my commercial rating. So, it was just something that I really loved and really felt like it was an opportunity I should take advantage of. All things came together where I had the money, I had the time, and I certainly had the desire, and it was a huge, big part of my life for a long time.
Well, wonderful. Now, how did you get into horseback riding, and why you're into show horses now? That's kind of an interesting transition from being a pilot to being a horsewoman and a cowgirl.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with horses. Again, not good horses, but we had horses where I grew up, and so I went for many, many years. All the years I was in Alaska, I was completely out of, being able to interact with horses. I always loved them. And then as time went on, I came to a place in my life where I was able to get a horse again, and I rode for a while and enjoyed that, and then I thought, I want to do a little more. I want to learn more. I want to become more proficient. I want to take lessons. I want to actually get really good at doing this. And so I've spent about the last 8 years doing
Wow.
just that. And so it's one of the things I really enjoy is going out and showing horses. And I've got one really good one that I enjoy. She and I are kind of a team.
And what about, didn't you do barrel racing for a while as
When I
well?
was a kid, I mean, that barrel racing is for young people.
But that's got to be a really hard thing to do.
Well, it takes,
and dangerous.
It takes a lot of guts, is what it takes.
Yeah.
And I don't have that anymore. I like calm, controllable horses.
And what's the special showing that you do now?
I do reining. I have a reining horse, yeah,
That's awesome.
which is sort of the Western equivalent of dressage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous. And then Victoria, I'm sorry. Victoria, tell us about your career as the spokeswoman. You started out in radio and television in Seattle, and how did you make that transition to becoming the Sadler's Lady? I'd like people to hear that story because you transitioned from behind the camera in sales into being in front of the camera. So let's hear about how that transition happened.
Well, again, looking back, it's just I had been in broadcasting for a number of years. Started out in rock and roll radio back in the day, and was in sales and management. Sales and management and on air are two very different segments of broadcast. And so they don't usually coincide. Somebody that's on the air is not in management, and somebody that's in management is not on the air. But it was another case of an opportunity came up that, and again, looking back, and these are things you don't really think about till you start talking about them. But it just had to do with a certain level of confidence that I saw an opportunity, and I felt I could do that. And it just kind of, that's sort of been an overlying theme in my life, is something would come up I'd find interesting, and I'd think, well, I could do that. Against all normal knowledge.
Raw, and you never said no to yourself. You always felt like, okay, this is another step of my life that I want to take.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do with my life. And frankly, everyone out there listening right now, there are opportunities in your life where opportunities are knocking at your door, that you can make a transition. You just got to believe in yourself that you can do that. These are things. Look at Victoria. She had an opportunity and transitioned herself from Seattle to Alaska. You'll tell a little bit.
Yeah. At the time, an opportunity came up within my company to transfer to Alaska. And it just sounded really exciting. And so I went up and interviewed, and they liked me and I liked them. And so, let's do it. Why not? And sometimes when you think about it, just being willing to say yes as opportunities arrive, instead of saying, I don't know, can I do it? Just saying yes and diving in, with both feet was sort of my way of doing things, looking back.
and the other aspect, Victoria, is you never allowed the F word to get into your way.
The F word?
Fear. Fear, because that will drive a lot of us away from taking an opportunity that comes knocking, because we get too afraid to step out, correct?
Well, absolutely. And there have been plenty of things. I didn't know real fear until I became a pilot. And, the kind of heart-thumping, oh my gosh, kind of fear. But so, yeah, that's a good point. But, yeah, just being willing to say yes and forging ahead. I mean, you're halfway there. It's the second guessing yourself, and then, I don't know. Those are the things that hold you back, not the fact that you can't do it. You more than likely can. You may look a little stupid doing it, the first few times you try, and you're going to have some failures. But yeah, I mean, I think you just have to forge ahead, and if you're interested in doing it and it's something that you think you can be passionate about, then you say yes and you go for it. And people are very forgiving of mistakes and failures, as long as you're trying and throwing yourself at it as best you can in a positive way.
Well, and it stems down to doing things with excellence. So you throw your whole heart and soul into something, maybe your passion. something you want to do and you give it your all, whether it's great. And we apologize for the background noise here at the restaurant, but some people can be a little loud, and we're just doing this live, raw interview right now. But it's a fabulous story. But then you transitioned, and how did you go from behind the camera as to the Sadler's Lady spokesperson?
Just, a fluky opportunity that came my way that I said yes to. Long story short, I was in management. There was a spokesperson position that came available. A friend of mine had been doing it the previous year, and it looked like a lot of fun. She was this spokesperson for this chain of furniture stores. She wanted to move out of the area, so the position was coming available. I was speaking to the owner of the company because I knew him in my capacity as a manager at the radio station, and he was saying, "Oh, we're going to lose this gal, and I'm not quite sure what to do." And because I always have an opinion, I said, "Well, what I think you should,
of course, you're a woman, you have an opinion.
What I think you should do is your previous spokesperson she was tall and blonde and gorgeous, and she was very good, very talented." And I said, "You've already had a tall blonde glamazon. You need to get a regular person that people can relate to. Somebody just kind of average. You need to get somebody like me." And he kind of looked at me and thought, "Well, is this something you'd like to do?" And I said, I'd give it a go. I mean, there again, that's me going, "Yeah, I'll try it." I'd had a little bit of experience, a lot of voiceover experience. I'd done some community theater, so I was kind of semi-comfortable in front of a group. I'd done a few commercials in the day, but it was not what I did, and it wasn't my expertise, and it certainly wasn't how I made my money. But so anyway, he said, "Why don't you do a demo reel and let's see." And so I got a couple of my buddies together, and we did a demo reel, and they, they interviewed a bunch of other people, obviously, but they ended up liking me the best, and 29 years later, I'm still doing it.
29 years later, that is amazing. Awesome. So they must really love you. And what are some of the things in being the Sadler's Lady that transitioned for them to keep you there? Wasn't there something on social media that you started doing?
Well, there was. The broadcasting industry, especially television broadcasting, network broadcasting, has changed so dramatically since I started. It's a completely different animal. Advertising is purchased and marketing is done a completely different way. And so I did have to kind of find a way to kind of stay in the game and keep my job relevant. And one of the ways that I about 5 years ago, I started seeing that we needed to be involved in social marketing. And I felt like I was probably since I was the face and voice of the company, I was the person to do it. So I basically put together a proposal, and we were a little behind the curve there, but 5 years ago there wasn't a lot happening. Facebook was essentially for a truly social. It wasn't a marketing tool for businesses. It was more for young people to keep track of who was dating who. And so at that point I put together a whole program. It included Facebook, a blog, Twitter, all by me as a person representing the company, but really very social. We didn't try and sell furniture. And so I put it all together and requested an appointment with the owner of the company and said, "This is what I think we should do." And it was a bolt out of the blue for him.
Well, and once again, you stepped out of your normal mode and tried something new that you had never done before, and learning everything about Facebook and social media and Twitter and stuff like that.
I didn't know very much at all.
So
but I knew I was the person to do it.
And you knew you had to teach yourself.
I did, yes, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot of you out there that have not stepped out of the realm of social media yet, that you kind of just do Facebook, but there's so many different things you can do in regards to social media as far as marketing yourself. And Victoria has found that avenue as the Sadler's Lady. She markets the home furnishing store she works for because she is the face. There are a lot of you that want to transition to something like that yourselves and trying to figure out how you do it. Well, Victoria, tell us how did you must love it, what you're doing, and is it your passion? Is it this is what you want to be doing, or where do you see yourself going in the future? Well, tell us a little bit more about it and where you see yourself going.
Well, it's a little bit, as I get up to the 30-year mark, I'm thinking a lot about that because it's a visual medium, and you can only hang in there on TV for so long. So it's a good question. I always thought if I could make it to the 30-year mark, that they should give me a gold watch and I would wander off into the sunset. However, with the social marketing, and I joke that they've had me there so long, it's easier to keep me than to get rid of me. And so, I look at people like Vanna White, and I think, well, she's been doing it for 30 years. I'm no Vanna White, but
No, but it's great.
But they've invested in me as the face and voice of the company for all these years, and there's a certain amount of trust and familiarity that's built up. So, I kind of feel like, well, as long as I can continue to look halfway decent, and let me just tell you, this is not good lighting in here. We look a lot better in person.
We
much
do.
Thinner and younger. But just as long as they want to keep me, I'm delighted to be there. The company that I work for has incredible honesty and character, and I've been proud to represent them because of how they treat their employees, how they treat me. I'm there as long as they want me, and as long as the face holds up.
Well, and that's something else. Have you ever had a crisis of faith in your career where you've had to compromise or say, hey, I'm not doing that because I don't want my character, who I am as a person, this is against my morals and values, because this is important for women to learn, that they can be successful without compromising who they are in God.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially in broadcasting, you do get a certain amount of that. It's not like working at a paint store or something like that. Because your individuality is out there, your face, your voice, who you are. You do have to be very, in my opinion, I had to be very careful of not going against anything who I was or what I believe. Fortunately, because I worked for such a great company, I wasn't asked to do it very often. But part of the reason, in my opinion, is from day one, I had a very clear vision of who I was as far as a representative of this company. And whenever anything happened that seemed a little off to me, I would just remind them the TheSadlersLady is G-rated. So there's never any question of doing something that was kind of off color or kind of inappropriate. The closest thing that we ever came is I was supposed to do a Christmas commercial. And I got there and they had my costume for me. Well, it was cut down to here and cut up to here, and the TheSadlersLady doesn't show a lot of skin. And so I said, that's not, because I knew I was going to have a Santa suit, and I said, that's not a Santa suit, that's a slutty Santa's helper suit. I can't wear that. And I just looked at them like they're crazy. I'm not wearing that. And so we made some adjustments, and it was fine. We pinned it up, and I wore little slacks underneath instead of, and it was fine. Yeah. But I had to tell them, no, that's not.
That's not who you are.
Not happening.
And this is what a lot of us run into in the business world, that there are areas in your life that you might have to compromise on. And what you have to do is stay true to yourself. Stay true to God.
Yes.
And what your values, know who you are before you walk into a situation. And you're able to say, just like Victoria, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to wear this outfit because it would compromise who I am and what I represent for the company. These are important values for each one of us to learn and follow, and know that God plays a picture in all these things.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can set those lines in your life where, no, I draw the line here and I'm not going any further. And that's what exactly you did, correct?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes back to, when we talk about the self-confidence to go do the things that you want to do and to go be the person that you want to be, a lot of that, when I say self-confidence, I also mean faith. Because you have to have faith that God created you to be a certain individual. And when you second-guess yourself or you doubt yourself or you have fear, you're not having faith in who you are and what you were sent here to do. So if you're having a crisis of confidence, oh, I don't know if I can do it or not, remind yourself that that's not showing the kind of faith that you probably want to be to go forward and be who you need to be. So, I mean, that's where it comes into play for me. I look back at the things that when I say that I was confident enough or in myself to do it, that comes from a not wanting to second guess God and his plan for me. I don't know what his plan is. This is not what I went to college for. It's what I ended up doing. It's clearly his plan for me. But if I'd have said no, it would have been saying the same as I just don't have the faith that you're going to help me do this thing I don't know how to do and haven't been trained to do.
And that's really what it's all about, is trusting in God for those opportunities that you have that you think you can't do.
Right.
And when you are able to overcome your fears, the F word, you overcome fear, then what happens is those opportunities come and God has opened a door for you to jump right in. And that's what Victoria did. She jumped right in, made transitions in her career that were positive, financially positive as well. These are changes you have to make within yourself in saying, I can, yes, I can do that. If she can do it, so can I, which is what Victoria has proven time and again with her flying, her horseback riding, becoming the Sadler's Lady, transitioning from behind the camera to in front of the camera. You can see Victoria on Facebook. Tell them your Facebook page.
I am at TheSadlersLady Lady on Facebook. All one word, The Sadler's Lady.
Fabulous. Well, I think what we have just found out that Victoria is going to be one of our speakers at our next conference in 2017. What? Do you think you can? We hope maybe you can make our 2016 and meet some young women that are going to be there.
I would love that.
Oh, fabulous. But what I want you to do is go look us up on our fan page, empowerwomensconference.com, and actually our website, and register for the Empower Women's Conference, which is coming October 22nd in Irvine, California, which is in Southern California, for a lot of your organized people or Alaska people, is because Victoria is going to be sharing this video too with her friends. It's down in Southern California in October, a beautiful time of year to be in Southern California. And we're doing a one-day conference, but we squeezed in 5 speakers. So you're going to be really very successful women are going to be speaking into your lives, just like what Victoria did today. So do you have any last words for the ladies that are watching, or men?
Well, it's been delightful to talk to you. I hope I've said something that is in some way interesting or helpful. Have a great day.
It has been fabulous. Have a wonderful day. And go to our website, empowerwomensconference.com. Thanks, and have a great day. This is Sharman Dow saying goodbye.